Welcome back. And now we're here with J.Ed Marston to hit the highlights of his work as the VP of Marketing and Communications at the Chamber on his last episode of this show. It's a bittersweet thing, but J.Ed, you really have done so much for this community and this chamber as the head of marketing and communication, and we wanted to give you a few minutes to kind of talk about some of the highlights. You've been with the chamber since 2003?
2002, actually.
2002. Came for a weekend visit to Chattanooga and decided to stay.
That's right. My wife and I, we were living in Atlanta. We had one small child and another on the way. And my boss at the time gave me Friday off. So a 3-day weekend. I called Tabitha and said, why don't we go visit Chattanooga? And we loved it. We were so blown away by Chattanooga. And that Sunday evening when we got home, I was unloading the car and she was typing on her computer. And she says, J.Ed, do you know we could own a historic home in Chattanooga for what it costs to live in the, in the nosebleeds of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't know that. And then I'm bringing the next look, J.Ed, there's a job at the Chamber of Commerce. And she starts reading it. It's like, I don't know what a Chamber of Commerce is, but I've done all that marketing stuff. So,
yeah.
And
well, that was a happy moment for us and for Chattanooga. So over that 12-year span, I think you totaled it up the other day, you have now achieved 1.2 billion impressions around the world for Chattanooga and for Can Do and what we've accomplished as a city. Tell me what some of the highlights of some of the big things you remember along the way.
Sure. Well, I guess the big thing, and I do want to emphasize that this was always a collaborative effort, and I appreciate the credit, but I also do want to say there are a ton of other people involved. But I think the interesting thing that we did, and I think it's relatively innovative, is we did a branding process for Chattanooga when I first got here. And a lot of different people were involved. And we developed this idea that the thing that made Chattanooga different was this ability to work together to do these really big things like the Tennessee Aquarium, the Waterfront Project, which came later, all these other things that Chattanooga had kind of bootstrapped itself into being able to do. And our shorthand way of talking about that was Chattanooga Can Do. And then we looked at it and we said, there's no way that we can pay to market that idea to all the people that we need to market it to worldwide. And we decided we were going to use PR. We were going to pitch stories to major publications. And over the years, we've just been slogging it out, and in the beginning, it was really hard. I mean, you'd pitch and no one was interested, never heard of Chattanooga, who cares? And over the years, and especially lately, it's getting so much easier. They're calling us now sometimes.
Right.
So that's kind of, and one of the fun things, I went back and looked at some of the articles. And so there's an article about 3 years before Volkswagen where a reporter is writing about what a great place for automotive Chattanooga would be, because we're telling them that story and they bought into it. And so there were a lot of cool things like that where we kind of told the story and then the story came true. Not because of the story, but because we were talking about something that Chattanooga was working hard on.
Well, you're really great about giving a lot of other people the credit, and I appreciate that. But you had a lot to do on wooing Volkswagen, and the communications work that you put together for that ended up winning several awards. And I'm convinced, just as an outsider at that time looking in, that it was a huge piece of why they probably gave so much attention to Chattanooga in the first place. So you want to tell us a little bit about that campaign?
Yeah, just very quickly, one of the things that we did was they were asking us a lot of questions because typically automotive had gone to not mid-sized cities, but greenfield places, certainly not a brownfield like we had. And so we decided one of the things that we could do was talk about how Volkswagen's brand and Chattanooga's brand were complementary. And we did this piece where we basically mimicked some of their advertising. They had the little classic Volkswagen Beetle that was their spokesperson at the time. And so we created Der Choo Choo, which was a train that spoke German and English to talk about they're into green, we're into green. They're interested in high quality manufacturing, we're interested in advanced manufacturing. And I think there were a lot of things that went into it, but I think it did at least open them up to being willing to consider Chattanooga and some of the other assets that we had.
Well, I have enjoyed every minute of working with you. You are a consummate professional and you're also a great guy.
Thank you.
So we miss you. We're going to wish you very great luck at EPB. I know you'll do a great job for them, and they're really smart to bring you on board. And we're happy you're going to be in Chattanooga. So.
Yeah, and I'm with you. It is bittersweet. It's sad to leave the chamber, but I'm only going a block away, and I'll be volunteering for sure. So you haven't seen the last of me.
Great. We wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be back right after this with Taking Care of Business.